When you live in a small town, everyone knows where you've been and what you have done. I've been trying to leave this old town since I...
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. I'm Zeta.
And I'm Kelly, and you're listening to
Two Sides and the Truth. Okay, so we got some catching up to do.
Yep.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
It's been very exciting around my house. And by that, I mean I did not leave my house one time yesterday.
Oh, really?
That's exciting.
Yeah.
It's not happened in years. I always leave my house. I got to get the fuck out. Just to start this podcast off, right? No, I'm just kidding. But I do, I'm busy.
Yeah.
Whatever the case is. Yesterday was Easter, so we're recording the day after Easter. And I stayed home all day, which never happens. The reason I stayed home all day is I chose to. Like literally, I made it my goal that I would find no excuse to leave.
All right.
I did my grocery shopping the day before. It was Easter. I forgot it was Easter.
Nice.
I did not take off Good Friday because I forgot. That's ridiculous. So, I like to cook. So I was like, well, I'm going to go Saturday. Once I realized it was Easter Friday, I was like, oh, shit, I need to go grocery shopping. So I went and got everything I needed Saturday and took care of, did the grocery shopping. But Saturday morning, I asked, maybe it was Friday night, I asked Rick, I was like, do you not have plans with your family for Easter? Because, I don't ever have plans because I don't have family around here. So I don't drive just for Easter. Now, sometimes I'll go see my dad, but I'm seeing him next weekend or this upcoming weekend. So I was like, I'm not going to make the trip to see my dad if I'm going to see him this upcoming weekend. So I'm staying home. But Rick always has plans. His grandparents, his mom, somebody's always got some. He has all of his family is here. Mm-hmm. So Friday night, I'm like, what are your plans? What are you doing? I'm going to work my plans around your plans. Not that I have any plans, but I'm going to cook. And he was like, no, I don't have any plans. I was like, you don't have any plans for Easter? What, are you kidding? And see, his family forever would go camping for Easter. That's what his grandparents did back in the day. They'd go to the lake and they'd camp for the weekend. And even the family members that weren't going to camp would drive out to the lake because it was within an hour and spend the day with them and then go home.
Yeah.
And so I knew they weren't doing that. I knew we were past that stage. His grandparents don't do that anymore. But I just thought they would have something planned.
Yeah.
And he was like, no. Friday, he was like, well, Thursday, he was like, no. And then Friday, he was like, oh, well, my brother and his wife were actually having something on Saturday for lunch. Sunday for lunch. And I was like, oh, okay, well, do that and I'll make dinner. You do lunch with your family and I'll make dinner, no big deal. And he was like, no, I'm going to spend it with you. And this has been a thing. Not a thing, because I don't care. It doesn't bother me. But, his mom doesn't care for me. I don't care for his mom. I don't go around her. So when they have a family event that she will be at, I avoid it. Nothing negative towards her. It's just that's what works best for everybody. Self-preservation. I have my boundaries, and that's one of my boundaries.
Yeah.
So, and he knows that, so he didn't even ask me. And he did know about it, but he just planned not to go to be with me. And I'm not that bitch. That's your family.
Yeah. It's not like you're demanding that.
No. I got kids. I got my own shit. I don't, So I was like, oh, you're going. You're going. When is it? What time? He was like, it's 2. We're eating at 2 on Sunday. I said, well, okay. I'll make dinner. Because I'm still going to have my Easter dinner. I'm the cook. I'm the family get-together-er.
Yeah.
So I was like, we're going to do it for dinner. You go for lunch. If you're still hungry when you get home, you'll have dinner. If you're not, you can just be there while we participate and enjoy it.
Yeah.
And so he was like, nope, I'm staying here. I was like, no, you're not, because I will be blamed. Really, I wouldn't be blamed. Everybody in the family knows the situation.
Yeah.
So I was like, no, you're going. It is important to me, he goes. Mm-hmm. You only get so many Easters with your grandparents, and his grandparents are still alive, and they didn't show up, by the way.
Oh,
they might have had plans. I don't know. But I don't know what the family had planned. All I knew is the brother was having something, and I was invited. He told me that I was also extended an invitation. He just didn't give it to me because he knew I wouldn't go.
Yeah.
And why bring it up? And fair enough. Why bring it up? But he wasn't going to go. And I was like, nah, you're going. So he went. Lovely time. He actually was by himself. Everybody was late. So he went and nobody was there until he was leaving.
Oh, nice.
I'm not kidding.
Well.
Everybody was late. So he came home and he tore it up. He did eat there, but he did come home and he tore it up. So I made this big ass dinner, like just stupid. I did make a cake, a big ass coconut cake, and
those are my favorite.
I got to. Have you had my coconut
Yes,
cake?
I've had it.
I
It's
thought so.
amazing.
Let me tell you, I get it. I'm doing everything. Like this is first thing in the morning because I wake up the crack of dawn. So I get up and I'm like putting my rolls to rise and I'm doing this and I'm doing that and I'm doing this and I made the cake batter, but it's still preheating. So I'm boiling eggs for the deviled eggs. I'm talking. This is 5 a.m. I don't want to wake anyone up. I'm just up naturally. I did not need to get up that early. I'm not serving dinner till 6 p.m. I just can't sleep, so I'm going to go in the kitchen and just leave everybody alone. So I'm doing anything prep I can do before I have to do it. So these are what I'm doing. So as I'm doing everything and I'm making the cake, I can't remember if I put water in the cake. Like it needed 2 cups of water. It had other stuff, but it needed 2 cups of water on top of that. I look at that batter. I'm like, that is dry as a bone. Did I put everything in it? Because I've been known to. I don't follow recipes on most foods, but when I do follow a recipe, I have ADHD and it's hard. So I'm like, did I put the water in it? And I'm thinking, I have no idea. So I just winged it and I threw some more water in it. I either just fucked this the fuck up or I made it. Or it's going to be perfect. I don't know.
We'll see.
It was perfect.
Okay, good.
It turned out good.
I would have been sad if you messed up the coconut cake.
Yeah. Rick woke up at like 6:30. He comes downstairs and I made this I waited till he woke up to start breakfast. But I made this big ass. All I did was cook yesterday. And I'm going to tell you, I was in hog heaven. I really enjoy cooking. It's really become therapy for me.
I really enjoy watching you cook.
I don't know. I don't think I'm like the best cook. I'm going to put this out there. I'm definitely not the best cook. My mom was 40 times better than me. I'm a good cook. I can wing it. And I don't know that everybody has the skills to wing it. I don't need a recipe, whatever. But I watch these shows where like these like professionals, and I'm like, I have no idea what you're even talking about. I don't even know what that is. I couldn't do that. Like I can't do any of that. But I can make you some fried chicken. I can make you some homemade gravy. I have no idea what you just cooked or how you cooked it or why you did that. And I think I need more of it than you showed in the picture. But no, I can't. Anyways, that was my Easter. That's what I did. I bought no baskets or candy for anybody. My kids were a little bit of a jerks all day. It was a typical Easter.
Nice.
Yeah. So Rick went to his family thing, came home, ate a bunch. I went to bed at 5:30.
Nice.
I ate at 5. And I said, I finished and I said, I'm going to take a nap.
I'm going to go hibernate.
Yeah. I said, I'm going to take a nap. That was it. I was out for the night.
Lovely.
I woke up at 4 this morning. I slept like 11 and a half hours. That was
that's a win right there.
That's my catching up.
That's a win.
That's all I got. Well, I'm almost catching up. We'll discuss further later. But the solar eclipse is going to be Monday.
Uh-huh.
A week from today. We're in the direct line of fire. We're supposed to get the longest amount of eclipse time, 4.5 minutes. Dallas only gets 3.5 minutes. Like the line is at the Ellis County line, basically. So my plan was take Monday off, be here, and don't leave my house. Like just don't deal with traffic, don't deal with shit, don't try to go out to eat, don't do anything. All these people are going to be in town. Rick has decided it might be the end of the world and we need to leave town.
This is so funny to me. Like that he's one of those.
He just decided this Thursday.
It really surprised me that he's one of those.
Me too, a little bit, but not. Like,
yeah.
I thought he was joking when he said it, and I half-assed it. And honestly, he told me Thursday. Friday, I went to work. I didn't ask off for. I took off for Monday because the traffic is supposed to be so bad. They're bringing the National Guard into Waxahachie.
Yeah, I'm not excited about it.
So Rick said, I can't be in town while the National Guard's in town. If they're in town, there's a problem.
I got to scoot out.
So we got to go somewhere where the National Guard's not. So that was his tipping point, I guess, is the National Guard were going to be in town. So it's like, we're going to San Saba. We're gonna sit it out in San Saba. I was like, that's fine.
Gonna ride out this wave.
Absolutely. I'm gonna need more time off because I'm not driving during the traffic times. But I didn't even believe him. So I didn't go to work Friday and ask for it because I thought he was joking.
Yeah.
He was not joking.
Not joking.
All weekend is all he talked about, like as if I had taken the time off. So I was like, I only took off Monday. He goes, no, you can take Friday and Tuesday off. I was like, I will ask when I get to work. So I went into work today and I was like, Rick thinks the world's ending and I need to take off Friday and Tuesday also. My boss laughed. He goes, are you kidding? I was like, nope.
I wish I was.
He came home from Atwoods with 5 cases of water. I feel like he was serious. But then I told him, I'm like, oh, by the way, my dad's staying at the cabin. So for those of y'all that are new listeners, my family cabin is in San Saba, Texas, the hill country, and no one lives there. I use it 99% of the time. Every once in a while, someone else uses it, as in no one, usually. My dad wants to see the
Except the
eclipse there.
ringtails.
Well, he lives, except the ringtails, chupacabra. My dad lives north of Dallas, so he wasn't getting as good a view at his house as we were getting at my house. Did he want to come to my house? No, because he has to climb stairs, and he can't do that. So he's decided instead he'll drive to the hill country and go stay at the cabin. My mom's dad's house. That's the cabin. It was my mom's dad's house. My parents have been divorced since I was 6 months old. My mom would be so pissed. But whatever. That's not the point.
That's not the point.
So he decides he's going to stay at the cabin. It's all good. He's staying at the cabin. So I tell Rick, I was like, no, my dad's going to be there. Like, that's my dad's weekend. And he was like, well, we're going to get the RV. We're going to move it there so we have enough beds, and we're going. And so now we are going to spend the weekend at the cabin with my dad for the solar eclipse.
Nice.
It is supposed to rain and be overcast now, I hear.
Oh. So who knows if we're actually even going to be able to see it. It's just going to get dark.
Yeah. I don't care. Rick's like, I don't care. That's not what we're there for. We're there in case the government shuts down.
Focus. I need you to focus on what's important here. That is not what's important.
Yeah, so I'll let y'all know next week if we record next week, because that brings up another catching up situation. Y'all, as we discussed in the last episode, Al is moving the studio. He just threw on me last week. Right before, I didn't know for sure if he was doing it. He didn't know when last time I spoke to him for sure if he was doing it. So so in the studio, Al keeps all his merch. So his Big Al's Down the Hat shirts, his cups, all his merch. We come in today, the merch is all gone and the shelves. So it's definitely happening. So when I walk in and I see that, I walk out and I'm like, Al, this is clearly definitely happening because you've cleaned, the piano's gone.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah. I said, well, where's the new studio? Where are we recording? He goes, I don't know.
Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. And I was like, okay, well, so we don't know what's going to happen next week. So you're either going to get a great podcast from us next week or you're not. We don't know. We don't know where we're recording. We don't know what's going on.
It's up in the air.
We're winging it. So that's my catching up. What you got?
Well, I had our sibling sleepover with, it ended up being me and my brother, which is the house that we went to. He lives, I can't tell you the town, but it's close to Tyler. I can't remember what the name of the town he lives in though. So it was him and his wife, and my younger brother Hunter went, and because it was just a adult sibling sleepover. So my younger brothers didn't go. And then my other brother, which is my bonus brother, that Joseph that I grew up with. So that's who went. And it was a lot of fun when we first got there though. So my brother has to return this like walking treadmill that broke. And so he had told them to come and get it on Saturday morning, right? No, Friday morning. And so, but they gave him a window that was like 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And he's
course.
like, that does not help me. And so we get there because he's wanting to go do lunch, and we get
And he
there.
can't leave.
And he can't leave. So we're sitting there for like a couple of hours, and me and Annie are sitting on the couch watching a TV show, and we finally get to the point where I'm going to start eating my arm or something.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, we're going to die on this couch. And so,
We're thick girls. We got shit to maintain.
and so my brother and Joseph was like, well, you can just cancel it and do it another day. And so he's like, fine, just go ahead and do that. I was like, we waited this whole time for you to just end up canceling it anyways.
Because I just ate your child in the other room.
I'm about to eat your dog.
When are we going to get Annie on the show?
Oh, we'll have to sometime. She would definitely come and be on.
I
She's
feel like
so much
Annie's
fun.
my friend at this point.
She's one of our listeners. She loves it, and it's so much fun. I love
I
her.
want to know Annie better.
She cracks up. She cracked up whenever I was talking about how you can't play board games with my brother because I just ended up flipping the table. And she was like, oh my gosh, I feel so seen right now.
Annie, Rick's the same way. He's such a dick. When his brothers talk about when they play video games and he would unplug the whole thing. When he was losing, he'd just unplug it.
That's so funny.
Like that didn't mean it didn't happen.
No, sorry. It's all erased.
I feel your pain. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So we finally get to go eat. So we go to Tyler to eat, and we go to this all-you-can-eat sushi place. Now, this is not like a buffet place. It is you sit down, they bring you a menu, and you can just order whatever you want. And it's like a whole like hibachi menu too. Like it's all the starters, all the hibachi,
And it's all you can
all
eat?
of the roll. Yes.
How much is it a person?
It was for the dinner. It was $31.
Hell yeah.
I know, it was amazing, and dessert. And drink included. Like
What? No alcohol, I'm sure, but still.
No, but they had happy hour stuff too.
So what? Yeah.
It was it changed my life. I didn't want to
Road
leave.
trip.
I was like, I should have brought a tent. I
live here
was
now.
Like, how long until they kick you out? I mean, like, can we stay until they close? Like, what's the
deal?
parameters
Yeah.
here? But it was, oh my gosh, it was so good. And the service was amazing. My favorite thing though was on their dessert menu, they had fried like tempura cheesecake, and they had fried tempura Oreos, and it tasted like the ones that you get at
The fair. Texas
and, like,
State
you can
Fair.
get ice cream too, and it was Bluebell ice cream.
What?
Like it was so good. It changed my life. Like I think I want to move to Tyler. It
Just
was,
for the
it was
sushi.
called Ohayo. So Y-O, Ohayo in Tyler, Texas.
All right.
If you live anywhere
Shout
around
out
that
to
place,
Ohayo.
go check it out. It was, oh gosh, it was life-changing. It was so amazing. Well, then we took separate cars, me and Annie, and then the boys, because I wanted to go shopping. Because I've been getting tattoos every time I get paid, but this past weekend, knew I wasn't going to get a tattoo. So I was like, okay, I'll just spend my shopping money, my tattoo money on shopping.
Yeah.
So Annie was like, down. So we took a separate car so we could go shopping after. So the boys went home. And in the back of my head, because my brother had got this new board game that he wanted everybody to play with him. And I was like, maybe if we spend long enough shopping, they'll start the board game without us, and then we can get out of it. So
I love this train of thought.
We went to the mall there and did some shopping. And sure enough, my brother called us when we went to Bath and Body Works, and it was like our last shop before we were going to go. And he was like, where you at? And she's like, we're shopping. And he's like, well, we're going to play the board game. And she's like,
Go
"Why?"
ahead and start.
He's like, why were you waiting on us? You don't have to wait on. He's like, of course we're going to wait on y'all. And she's like, well, you shouldn't have. And so we get home, and they had started the board game. We're like, yes. So we sit down and we continue our show.
That's me on my feelings about Erica and her card game.
I know, right? If we just avoid it long enough, maybe we don't have to do it.
Eventually they're going to give up.
That's how I solve problems, is I avoid them.
Yes. Same, girl, same.
It works out most of the time.
BFFs are a reason. There you
But I went on my brother's Netflix account when we had gotten there, because while we were waiting, and there's a new show that they just uploaded on there that's called The 3 Body Problem. And I'm not usually like a TV show watcher, but every now and then I'll get into one. And this one is so good. So if you have Netflix and you're a TV show watcher, watch The 3 Body Problem. It is very good. I very much liked it. And I haven't finished it yet. I think there's like 8 episodes. I have like 1.5 left more. But oh my gosh, it's so good. But then at the end of the night, we made this like punch. My brother loves this like punch that's like it's green sherbet, and I think it's Sprite or 7-Up and ginger ale.
Yep.
And it makes a punch.
Yeah.
And it was
It's
so
a wedding
good.
punch.
Yeah, it's so good. I love it. It's
So
my
that's
favorite
called
thing.
wedding punch.
Is it?
Yes.
See, I didn't know.
Rick
But it's so
wants
good.
me to serve wedding punch all the time. Have I
I do
ever served Rick wedding punch? No, I haven't.
I want it like on tap.
He brings it up.
I want it so.
I'm like,
it's
I've
so
never. This is what people that are prepared do. I'm not. I wing
Not
shit.
prepared, sorry.
I'm not.
It's really hard.
I don't
to
have my
find.
shit together enough for wedding punch, but I love it.
It's oh god, I love it so much.
But they do it with orange sherbet or lime sherbet or whatever. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. You need
Yeah.
a sherbet
sherbet and
and some kind of clear liquid.
yeah, it's so good. I loved
Tequila,
it.
you know, whatever.
It's so easy to make that a cocktail too, and I did it.
I have had it as a cocktail.
So good, so good.
I feel you.
And then at the end of the night, like everybody's going to bed, but I'm still up because I'm sleeping on the couch. And my brother comes in and sits down, and I'm playing my Monopoly game on my phone. And I look up to see what my brother has started, and it's the Magic School Bus. I was like, why are we watching the Magic School Bus? But yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It's my
Interesting.
brother, right? I was like, no, go to bed. I'm going to bed. Turn off.
I mean, he's your brother.
I know.
And this is like your kind of almost twin.
Yes, we are Irish twins.
Yeah.
So yeah, and we definitely look like we're Irish. And when we were younger, people thought we were twins because we look so much alike.
Yeah.
And we favor each other. And our birthdays were so close together, so
Yeah.
we would always celebrate around the same time. So
That's Rick and Nick because they're only 11 months apart. And Zola and I were only 18 months apart. And we often got asked that when we were younger because we went through a stage where we were about the same height for a minute. About a year and a half.
real quick.
During that, because we looked a lot alike. Yeah. Like, you know, Zola and I looked, you could tell that was my brother. You know, my sister doesn't look like us. She's got a different dad. And my other brother and sister have a different mom. So they look like when you said it was my sibling, people would be like, oh, okay. But you didn't have to tell anyone Zola's my sibling and vice versa. Yeah.
Annie also told me that she got my brother that 23andMe the test or whatever, and that it came back. I was supposed to look at the results, but she told me that she found out that we were 2% black. I was like, that's cool. And so I told Dante, and he was like, yeah, well, that explains that booty. And I was like, thanks for that.
That's my explanation.
We know where it went for sure.
Yeah. What's my explanation?
I don't know.
My booty.
Have you ever done one of those?
No, my
Ancestry?
siblings and I made an agreement not to do it till my dad died.
Oh, okay.
We don't know if there's any crimes in the 70s. None will be bad. Well, yeah. No,
Yeah,
we're
we'll
gonna
just-
wait. We're gonna
yeah,
wait.
that's probably
we got
smart.
a few more years. I do have a cousin though that did it on my mom's side of the family, and my cousin that did it on my mom's side of the family. That's how we found my aunt.
Yeah. Well, Annie had done it as
Surprise.
well, and Annie found a brother that she never knew that she had. And so when she was getting it for my brother, she told my dad, "Okay, Dwayne, if you have anything that you need to confess
just
about, you
throw it
gotta
out
do it
there.
right now."
Well, that's how we found my aunt. I've yet to meet her, but I have talked to her, and she listens to the podcast. And I've never met her. Not every podcast, I don't think, but I know she has listened to a few because she has met. She said she felt like she never met my mom. My mom never knew she existed. And so she feels like she's met all my mom's siblings, all her half siblings. My mom was dead when we found her. And she was like, she sent me a message one time. She goes, I definitely connect the most with you.
Aw.
Because I'm nothing like my family. Like they're fun and wild, and they're hilarious, but they're not like me, you know. And she was like, "You're sarcastic as shit, man. It's funny." So that's how you found my aunt.
Well, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to do that. And I was like, wait, wouldn't the results just be the same? And she's like, yeah. I was like, okay, so I don't have to do it.
Yeah,
I was like, Casey, just fax me over that.
So
I
what
know.
is your percentage? What was your highest percentage?
Well, see,
of
I never actually, I
didn't get
forgot
that?
to look at it. So all I know is that part that she told me. So I'm going to have
I would
to tell
like to
him.
think I have other ethnicities in me, but I feel like it's going to come back. This bitch is white.
I'm going to have to tell him to send it to me so that I'll be able to share it. But that's pretty cool. So then on Saturday, we went to my mom's house and had an early Easter with just our immediate family because we were supposed to have a big Easter. But so one of my brothers, that is an adopted brother that has been with us for a long time, but he is in his 20s now. But we haven't seen him in a really long time because he was actually in jail for a while for some drug problems.
Oh, he's home now. Okay.
Well, he is now out of jail and in a halfway house. and they get like day passes to go and see family or, stuff like that. So he got a day pass so he could come and see the family. And I haven't seen him it's probably been like 5 or 6 years.
Wow.
Since I've seen him. I love him. He's my brother, so I want to, support him and love him. But it's very difficult for me too because of what he has put my parents through.
Yeah.
And he's just, a taker, and he's had, obviously drug abuse problems. So it's kind of hard, so there's a want there, and I want to be supportive, and I'm more there to be supportive for my parents and for my family than I am necessarily for him, because they're having to support him and go through this.
Yeah.
And I've just never been a big fan of him from the beginning, but I try, I want to love him, and I want to be better, and I want to be supportive, but it's just, it's kind of a two-headed snake there that I'm just like, ugh. You've literally were given the best present and gift that God could give you being put into my family. Yeah. And you kind of spat in their face. Yeah. And over again, not even just one time. So,
but that does happen often in people like that's lives. Like once you're abused, a lot of people don't ever recover and don't know how to treat people.
I know. And that's why I'm definitely living and learning through my parents through all this, because they are such a great example of just unfailing, unrelenting love and acceptance and support.
That's hard.
I know. It's hard. And that's why I
feel like people like your parents make it look easy.
They do. And I know that it's not. I know that
even
it's
on
not.
them.
I can tell, because being through this and seeing how it affects them and how they just keep on keeping on. Yeah. And it's very,
and it's not just your mom. It's a lot of your family, your aunts. Yeah. They've all taken in children that require a lot of extra love. Yeah. And for different reasons, not all because they're troubled and they do things to push back. Some of them just require extra love because they got special needs or whatever the case is. Yeah. But it says a lot for your family.
But I was very
It says
happy.
a lot about your grandparents. Yeah. That they raised such amazing people.
We got a good strong family, and I'm so thankful for them. And I was really happy to see him. I'm happy to see that he's doing better. He looks better. He sounds better. Yeah. So obviously I know that it was hard. He was very kind of quiet and reserved, and I understand it's going to be hard to kind of like assimilate back into a family and get back into feeling comfortable and everything. So. So I've just been praying and just been doing a lot of deep soul searching and trying to, let go of any kind of resentment and feelings that I have and just realize that we can start over. We can as many times as we have to, we have to be.
I don't know. I feel like at some point there's a line.
Well, I do too, but then like, where do you draw that? And I'm not going to do it.
It's really up to your parents.
I'm not going to give up as long as they're not giving up. Yeah. And that's why I feel like as long as they're
such good people.
As long as they're pushing on, I'm gonna push on.
I'm ready
there
to
with
burn
them.
bridges. I'll burn a bridge.
Tell you what, man, I will jump off the bridge while it's burning into the water.
I will light that fire,
and I will just swim in the little lake because I like that.
I would swim in that fucking lake of fire
while the bridge is burning.
That's wrong. Okay, sorry. Okay, what else you got? I'm sorry.
That's all my catching up. We're all caught up.
All right, good.
Hey Zeta, you know what time it is?
What time is it, Kelly?
It's time to pop the top
on the topic of the day. So today's topic, I got a meme I'm going to quote. That's what we're starting with. Yep. And there's multiple memes about this on both sides of the fence, but this is the one I choose to quote. And that is, best friends don't necessarily have to talk every day. They don't even need to talk for weeks. But when they do, it's like they never stop talking.
Yep. I love it.
And this was Kelly's idea.
Yeah.
Would you go with it, Kelly?
So our topic is basically what it means to be a long-term friend. Because friendships are all different, just like we're different, all age, shapes, sizes, and times. And friendships can go through different, periods or seasons. There can be times where you see somebody all of the time, and then you can go to not seeing them for a very long time, for maybe days, weeks, or even years. But when it comes to being an actual friend, I think that a lot of people some people don't understand what that means, because some people feel like to actually be a friend, you have to be present. you have to be in their lives. You have to be seen and heard all, to whatever extent.
You have to know everything. Yeah.
And then if you fall off, they feel like, okay, well, they're not my friend anymore because they haven't come around or they haven't talked to me or anything like that. So that we're not friends anymore.
Right. And we've talked about this in the past a little bit.
Yeah.
We talked about seasons in friendship.
Yes.
And so I truly believe, based on my experiences in life, and I feel a little bit like an expert because I have a lot of long-term friends.
Yeah.
I typically, if you become what I would consider a best friend, you typically stay my best friend. Unless something crazy happens, once I let you into that little bitty circle, you're there for life.
Yeah. You have a VIP pass to my life.
You got it. Yeah, I trust it. Something happened to put you there.
Yeah.
And ironically, I'm going through something right now with a lifetime friend. And I've been friends with this person for a very long time. She's going through a difficult time. And another mutual friend of me and this lifetime friend and I have been discussing it because we're worried. So we've been, trying to help and do what we can do, whatever the case is. Well, the friend that I've been discussing this with doesn't live near me. I don't get to see her very often. And so she sends me a text message. This was Kelly's idea for this top, but it couldn't have been better timed.
Oh, thank you.
I'm only going to read a little section, but there was a whole conversation. This is just a little piece of it. And I got a text from her today, and she said, I feel like, oh, wait, I don't want to read that part. That's personal.
Okay.
I need to be a better friend, she said. But I know you both know that I'm there no matter what if you need me. Even if it's been years since we talked, I love you. And it's not been years since we talked, but we have gone years without talking. Mm-hmm. And the fact that she knows that she's one of those special ones, like she knows. And so we have a friend in need that's going through something, and it is killing her from thousands of miles away. It is killing me from 10 miles away.
Yeah.
Like we're both worried. We're both trying to figure out how to handle the situation. But we're also both trying to protect our own mental health.
Yes.
By dealing with it the best way that we can without hurting ourselves. Because as you get to our age, you realize you can sacrifice yourself sometimes. Mm-hmm. And I think as a good friend, I don't want someone to have to sacrifice their own mental health for mine.
That's very true.
I feel like that's a real friend. When I don't expect you to suffer for me, but I do want you to be there when I really need you.
Yep.
That's my personal perspective.
I'm the same way. That's why a lot of times I don't open up very much to even my best friends about things that are hard for me or that I'm dealing with or anything like that, because I don't like burdening people. And so I will try and deal the best way that I can until the point where I feel like I really need to reach out to somebody. If I can't, and I can't do it to my therapist or what I'm not getting, whatever it is I need. If I need to share, and I've gotten a little bit better, through therapy to learn about, what is healthy and what is okay to share, and being able to let my friends, especially if they're friends that I know are very mature and very good about protecting their own mental health, for them to put up a line when they need to.
Because you got to be careful on trauma dumping.
Yeah. Yeah. And
like
so
it's real. It can affect people.
When I'm talking to people and giving them a heads up or, hey, can I vent for a minute, and then trusting them to say yes or no, and then to stop me if they need me to.
Right.
Or also giving them out. It's like, hey, is this too much? Do I need to stop? Do I need to pull back? Do we need to have another session some other time?
Yeah. It is a lot. When you really care about a friend and they trauma dump on you, it's not just that what you're saying is impactful because you're friends, but do they have a past history with this somewhere else and it affects them?
Can I be triggering them in some way?
Can I be, am I picking the right conversation to have with the right person?
Yeah.
And I feel like as a true friend, you have to consider that.
Yeah.
It's not always about the person that shit's falling apart. Like the other person has feelings and needs, and it's just a fine line.
It really is. And it takes communication.
It does take and trust.
Yep.
It takes a lot of trust.
Yes, it does.
And
so I had a friend that I was talking to, and he was letting me know that a mutual friend of him and my brothers, that they grew up together and they had all been friends all growing up, and they had, they would see each other, then they wouldn't see each other, but, they were trying to make time for each other sometimes, but life gets in the way sometimes. Well, he has a girlfriend that he's been seeing for a while who pretty much convinced him that him and my brother were not good friends. They weren't true friends because they didn't make time for him and this and that or whatever. And so he pretty much sent my brother and my friend saying, you know, basically that I don't think that you're true friends. I think we need to just go our separate ways. Basically a breakup, you know, a friendship breakup. And I was like, see that's not healthy. So first of all, I feel like you were in a kind of toxic relationship where your significant other is alienating you and pushing people out of your life.
That's the first thing I think is red flag.
And that's not good. Not that somebody
There is nobody in your family biological raised by your parents. Full biological raised by your parents that are coming out anything but loving.
Right.
I'm serious.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, you can be with somebody or even have a friend who can bring to light somebody who's not good for you. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing because it can be a good thing.
Yep.
But when you see that somebody's trying to push people out of your life and friends out of your life and for no
because
reason,
you're not calling them daily,
or because maybe they don't, you know, care for them. They're I don't know what the case is, but I know that in this situation, the reasoning behind that he was behind it was just so off. Sometimes people just can't be there. Some people have too much going on in their life, or they don't even think about it, or life gets in the way, or they feel like they don't have to always be there. And that's true. They don't have to. If it's a true friend and you're not seeing them and you're not hearing from them, but you know that you can reach out to them and they will reply. Even if it's hey, okay, let me call you in 5 or 10 minutes, or we can get together, let's schedule a time to get together. I would rather have that than, a friend that I'm just like, oh, I don't see you, so we're just going to go our separate ways. Like, why would you just want to cut somebody out of your life just because they're not being there as much as you want them to be there, or they're not giving you enough attention?
Yeah.
Like, that's more about a you thing than it is towards that other friend.
And if we were to decide who was a real friend based on how often you talk, how many people would have a friend?
I wouldn't have many.
Right.
Because I have friends that I haven't talked to in years.
But they're your friend.
Yeah, but I know that I could say hi to them, or I could call them, or I could be like, hey, I want to come see you. And they'd be like, oh, say when.
Yep.
And like, I do at times feel bad that I'm not as close to them as I used to be.
Yeah.
And, there's times that I feel like, I want to try and be, but it just doesn't happen. My mental health, my brain is crazy. But I know that I don't have to worry about that. They are not thinking that I'm a horrible person. Right. They might feel like, oh, I wish I got to see Kelly more. I wish Kelly would talk to me. But they're not thinking, oh, we're not friends anymore.
Right. I mean, I will tell you, I've talked about my friend Jenna for years. On the podcast, I talk about her. But when I was in high school, I lived with my best friend, one of my best friends' families. They had custody of me because my parents moved and I wanted to finish high school and other things happened. Mm-hmm. But I ended up my senior year living with my best friend's family. And they took amazing care of me. They're wonderful people. They're another family to me. Their daughter, Jenna, is my sister. Like, as far as I'm concerned, Jenna is my sister for the rest of my life. We have gone 5 years without talking at one point because we were childbearing age and we were going through the thick of bearing children. And it's hard, man. When you have babies, 2 at once in particular, 3 at once, it's hard. And there is no time to sit on the phone. Like, there's just no time for that. I didn't go out and have a drink and hang out with my friends for a good 7 years. I was in full mom mode, not because I didn't love my friends and miss my friends, but because I couldn't afford a babysitter. Like, life got in the way. Jenna can call me, and I swear, if we didn't talk for 20 years, she could call me, and I would be right up in there like we talked yesterday.
Yeah.
And I have other friends like that. The friends I just quoted the text message from, and the other friend, that's other friends like that where we know each other like the back of our hands, And I think a real friend is someone that understands.
Yeah.
So I see this meme that goes around, and you don't because you don't get on social media, but there's this meme that's been around since social media has been around. I have seen it a million times. And typically it's someone posting who is going through something and doesn't have a good friend group, typically because they just got out of a relationship and that's what they're going through, and they have isolated their friends.
Yep.
Or
let them push people out of their life.
Yes. And they'll post something like, I thought we were friends, but you don't have time to call me, and you don't have time for me, and blah, 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 blah. Come on.
Right.
Come on.
That's just a shows your maturity right there.
Yeah.
And it shows how much that you've actually been in a relationship with your friends.
Yes.
Had a good, mature, healthy relationship.
Yeah, because you don't have to do that. And like you and I go through seasons where we see each other a lot and then we don't see each other much. And we see each other a lot and we don't see each other. And that's okay because fucking life happens and life's allowed to happen. And I'm not going to be like, no, it's been 3 weeks. You're not going to see your mom today. I'm sorry Dante's off today, but today's our day.
Yeah.
Like, that's stupid.
Yeah, it is.
Because as your friend, I just want you to be happy. Yeah. And if you haven't seen your boyfriend much, and that's his day off, and that makes you happy, fuck, I can see you on Tuesday, bitch. Like, you know,
Yeah.
I can see you next week. I can see you next month. I can talk to you. I can text you. I can connect other ways with you.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing as what time you give your children and your significant other. Those are a different type of relationship. A best friend relationship gives exceptions, gives room, gives it, you know, like you give. That's part of being a good friendship. And a lot of women I hear that are like, I can't find any good girlfriends. A lot of them aren't willing to give.
Yeah.
And
they expect too much. It's more of a taking and they are not mature enough or they're not secure enough in themselves to be able to feel secure enough in a friendship if they're not receiving what they feel like they need to receive.
Exactly.
If they're not feeling fulfilled.
Literally a year or two without getting what you want. Mm-hmm. And that's okay.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, you're going to be 80 and you're going to be in that nursing home and you're going to want a bitch to race you with that wheelchair.
Yeah. You better be that bitch.
Because you know these men die first.
Yeah.
These men die first. We can give them all the energy you want to, but hopefully I'm going to outlive them so I can have time with my girlfriends in their nursing home. That's the master plan.
True. And now,
why am I with a younger man? I don't know. Kelly planned it right.
I know, I really did. Now there is also on the other side of this a part where I understand, you know, when you give and give and give, or when you are being accepting of a person's life being busy, but they aren't there for you. And when you try to make the time or you try to connect and they are not giving anything.
Or you truly need them.
Yes.
Like shit's hitting the fan.
Yeah. And you you don't really ever ask for anything, but this is one time I need you and they're not there.
Yeah.
Or not even try to be there, not even try to contact you, talk to you. Like that's completely different in my opinion.
Yes.
If somebody is completely
But as a good friend, you understand that.
Yeah.
Like you understand the capabilities. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know you do because you're my best friend. Like you understand.
Yeah.
Shit happens.
It does.
And that's okay. Like that's okay. Mm-hmm. I think that's an important lesson. I think a lot of women that struggle with making women friends don't understand that part.
Yeah. They don't give enough grace and enough understanding.
Yeah. And your friend doesn't have to be just like you. No. And she doesn't have to look just like you. And she doesn't have to have your background. And she doesn't have to have your same beliefs, whether it be religious, political, you know, whatever. I have so many friends of different backgrounds and beliefs than me. And it's taught me so much. Mm-hmm. And hopefully I've taught them a little bit. Like it can go both ways. You do not have to be, your friend doesn't have to be perfect.
Nope. They're not going to be.
No. And some people expect that.
Yeah.
And you're only letting yourself down.
Yeah.
Because you're not perfect. I'm not perfect.
Nope.
So it was a good topic. I think this is a good topic because it's right. I mean, it's true. And I feel like I know a lot of women that have a lot of good friends, like us. We have good friends. Like you and I have a core group of friends.
Yeah.
And not even always exactly the same core group of friends, but a core group of friends. But we also, we have a visitor. We also have a core group of like, we understand. And I don't think everybody understands. Like you have friends that you're like, no, I haven't talked to her for 6 months. Oh yeah, that's my good friend.
Yeah.
Like
that's my bitch right there.
And me, I'm like, same.
Yeah.
And that can be okay. I know plenty of women that are like, I haven't talked to her for 3 weeks. What? 3 weeks?
She must not like me anymore.
That's like yesterday to me.
I know.
You could not be friends with me if you thought I was going to text you every 3 weeks.
Or like even I'm so bad. I'm so bad about texting people.
Yeah, but you know what? As your friend, I understand that.
Yep.
And so it doesn't bother me at all. And I'm, if I text you, it's important. because I know you don't like to text. So I'm not just going to text you something stupid. Now, Brandy is going to text me something stupid. That's our friendship.
Yep.
Am I going to react every time? No. Does she care? No.
She doesn't expect it because she knows.
She knows. She's like, bitch, I sent you a lot. I don't know. What'd you watch? I don't know. Damn. There was so much. She has more free time to send. I don't always have time to watch. You know, she sends a lot of memes. They're funny. Every one of them's funny. Can I look at every one of them? No. Because I'm at work half the time, and I'm afraid to open them at work.
Yeah. I would be afraid to open.
And then I forget once I leave work. Like, they're so funny. I usually do want to watch them, but I don't always get to them because she sends them during my work hours, and there's no way in hell I'm opening any kind of meme from Mary, Brandy, or Erica during business hours.
That's probably a very smart decision.
Well, that's just my personal opinion. So, anyway, so I guess we're doing something a little different with this month. We're talking about our subject. Y'all, if you've paid attention to the podcast the last few months, you notice we do a catch up because y'all seem to like that. Mm-hmm. And then we do, which we didn't know if you'd liked it, but apparently you do.
Yeah.
And then we do a topic. And this month we're going to do something a little different, and we're going to have a well, we kind of did it last. We did this in February too, our love month. Mm-hmm. This is going to be Autism Awareness Month. Mm-hmm. So I want y'all to expect a little bit something different the next few weeks.
Yes.
Is there anything else you want to add to our friendship conversation?
No, we're good. We can go into.
So if you're expecting your friend to call you every day, stop being a bitch.
Moral of the story.
That's the moral of the story.
Just consider that you're still friends, no matter how long it's been.
Yes.
And even if you have had a little bit of resentment, or I don't know what's going on, or I don't know where we stand, when you do meet up with them, or when you do talk to them, just give it all you got again.
Yeah.
Just pick it right back up.
Yeah.
And it can be awkward. You can be like, oh, I don't really know how we're going to mesh after this time. But if you just go into it with an open heart and an open mind, you will be able to fall right back into step, and you will be so happy for it.
Yep.
And once you do it, it makes it easier the next time too, to pick right back up and get right back on that saddle. And that's really just what you have to do. You have to have that open mindset and accepting mindset, and just loving, and be ready to just dive head first right back into it. And you will be happy that you did that.
Yeah.
Instead of just
and give your friends grace.
Yeah. Don't further alienate yourself or that other person. Yeah. Give them the benefit of the doubt that life just got busy for them, and just continue to be there for them.
And that's allowed.
Yeah, it is.
I like it. Good subject.
Thanks. All right. So for our Autism Awareness Month, I'm going to start off with giving you a definition of what autism is. Now, I don't like putting any kind of anything in a box, but just to give you a little bit of a understanding, this is from the Autism Speaks website, and it says, what is autism? Autism definition. Autism, or autism spectrum disorder, ASD, refers to a broad range of condition characterized by challenges with social skills, repetitive behaviors, speech, and nonverbal communication. According to the Center for Disease Control, autism affects an estimated 1 in 36 children and 1 in 45 adults in the United States today. We know that there is not one type of autism, but many. Autism looks different for everyone, and each person with autism has a distinct set of strengths and challenges. Some autistic people can speak, while others are nonverbal or minimally verbal and communicate in other ways. Some have intellectual disabilities, while some do not. Some require significant support in their daily lives, while others need less support, and in some cases live entirely independently. On average, autism is diagnosed around age 5 in the U.S., with signs appearing by age 2 or 3. Current diagnostic guidelines in the BSD-5TR break down the USD diagnosis into 3 levels based on the amount of support a person might need: level 1, level 2, and level 3. So, and if you want to learn more about those levels or what the signs of autism are, you can visit the Autism Speak website, and it's just autismspeaks.org.
So the reason that we're doing this Autism Awareness Month is not just because it's super important, because it affects my family. And if you have listened to the podcast, you know this, because I have 4 children. This is Ada speaking. I have 4 children, and 2 of them, my younger 2, are on the spectrum. And I'm pretty sure my ex-husband's on the spectrum. He's never been officially diagnosed, but he would also agree he's on the spectrum. And my ex-sister-in-law is on the spectrum, and her daughter's on the spectrum. And I'm going to put money on my ex-mother-in-law and her father. And I knew all of them. I mean, her father's passed, but I know them well.
That was just a time where people were not diagnosed.
Well, and that's kind of something I wanted to discuss. Because I'm going to tell you something I hear often or read often. People don't say it to my face very often, but I do read it often, is that back in my day, I love the back in my day.
Back in my day.
Bitch.
They beat the autism out of you.
They did. You know what they did? They institutionalized them. Here's the thing. Back in the day, they didn't diagnose them autistic. They didn't know what was going on. They just knew there was an issue. And so they would just institutionalize them, or, you didn't see the kids. They weren't in class. So when we were growing up, and I'm Gen X, but when I was growing up and you had any kind of learning disability or any kind of mental health issue or anything that might fall on that spectrum, you were automatically put in a special needs class, and you never saw any kids that weren't special needs. Like, you were in that class from the time you got to school until the time you left school. Oftentimes, depending on the school, you ate lunch in your classroom, or you had a special table. Because, that really makes those kids feel great.
Oh, yeah. Definitely alienated.
So you have kids that are non-functioning in any way, not autistic even, just brain damage, whatever the case is, not functioning, can't communicate, nothing, in the same classroom with kids that are fully functioning, just have autism. Like, they maybe can't communicate well, but they're really smart. And they're in the same class with a kid that can't add 1 and 1. And not that it's any kid's fault, but, that's why you didn't see them in your classrooms when we were growing up, because they weren't allowed in there, even if they deserved to be there, even if they could do it. Now, yes, they might have social issues. The noises and such might set them off and might create problems. But they weren't even given a chance to do that. They were just automatically put in this little realm. And they didn't call it autism. They called it mental retardation. They called it all kinds of things. At the end of the day, a large portion of those kids were autistic and very smart. Now, are all autistic kids very smart? No. My kids, one of them functions on level. The other one functions above level. Like, when you test my son, he tests off the charts. He tests genius level. The kid is super freaking smart. He struggles more in school than all my other kids ever did. And it's not because he's not the smartest one, because the school's literally said, I've never seen anyone test better. It's because, socially speaking, it affects him so bad he shuts down in school. It's because the noise levels can affect him and he shuts down in school. There's just different aspects to it. So this last year, he's had the best year ever. He's a junior. He's had the best year ever. You know what changed? He made friends.
Yeah.
He found his people.
That's good.
And suddenly he's making A's. And that's what changed about it. And that's why these kids don't need to be in a class with kids that are not on their level. That's why they deserve a chance to be in regular classes, because they're regular kids, most of them. And before I had my children, I had my first two. And then people started talking about autism right after I had my second one. And he was born in 99. So around 2000, 2001, you started hearing people, autism kind of became a buzzword. You started hearing about it and you started knowing about it. And at the time, I ran a children's clothing store. And I had a regular customer that would come in, and her son was the same age and in the same class as my oldest daughter. So he's 26 now. And I was pregnant, I got pregnant with Zaylee shortly thereafter. And they would come in. He was autistic, and he wasn't diagnosed autistic yet. Not a lot of people were back then. And he would come in my store and tear down signs and do all this wild stuff. And I was overwhelmed. Every time he came to the store, I knew who he was. I knew his mom, very sweet people. I knew he had some kind of special need. I didn't know what it was, but he was a lot. He was a lot to handle. And then his mom and I talked finally, and his mom was like, yeah, he has autism. She explained it to me. And I was like, okay. And so it was a buzzword. I finally met someone that I knew for a fact had autism. It was stuck in my head, and my whole pregnancy of Zaylee, I dreamt she had autism. And I was real worried about it. I mean, I was legit worried about it, to the point I said to people, I'm so worried this kid has autism. It was in my head. And then, they used to believe that girls didn't really get it. It was very, very rare for girls to get it. It turns out it's not so weird. Mm-hmm. It's just undiagnosed because it manifests itself different usually. And so when I found out she was a girl, I was like, yes, no autism. Like, that's how prevalent it was. Like, to the point that I said to my ex-husband, oh my God, that's such a relief. I've been so worried about her being autistic. And turns out she was autistic. It took me until she was 6.5 to get her diagnosed. I had to fight tooth and nail for it. No one believed me. The signs were there. They just weren't the same symptoms you see in boys. Boys and girls typically manifest themselves differently. She was super, super, super social, but she would have meltdowns 70% of the day. Her first 3 years, she cried 70% of the day. And not because she had a tummy ache and not because she was colicky, but because she was oversensitized. She was crying because lights were on. She was crying because we were in the car and she didn't like the vibrations. Like, I had had 2 other kids and I had never experienced this and I didn't know what the hell was going on. And so I got pregnant with her brother, surprisingly, and very quickly after her. So I was pregnant with her brother and she was about 6 months old. And that's when I really realized there was a problem. Like, this was not just a spoiled kid or a kid that was a little crybaby-ish compared to the other kids. Like, I realized there was something going on. And I was 6 months pregnant with my son. And I was like, oh my God, what if he's just like her? I can't do 2 of these. Like, these aren't like the other kids. This is a lot of fucking work. Mm-hmm. He's also autistic. He came out an angel child. He was a baby. He was the sweetest baby. He didn't do any of the things she did. He was still autistic. Mm-hmm. Like, there is no perfect explanation. Yeah. And so I think because in the 80s, Rain Man came out, people have this perception of autism that's just not real.
Yeah.
And I think that with people that have children on the autism spectrum that are lower, I don't want to use the word lower functioning because I know it upsets people, but that's what most people recognize it as, where they struggle more and they can't verbalize, or they throw fits and throw their head on the ground. And, there's just different aspects of autism. I think that a lot of people, those people recognize it. And Rain Man, they recognize it. If you're talking like a robot, they instantly recognize it. If you're doing all these, I don't know what the word for it is, but I don't know if traditional is the right word, but what you expect.
What you think that the typical things would be.
So when you see that, you think, oh my God.
It's more stereotypical though.
Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for, stereotypical. And so people sympathize with that because they recognize it and they're like, that's what's going on. But here's the deal. Most autism does not look like that.
Yeah.
Most autism looks like my kids. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of people walking around, and you hear about adults being diagnosed as adults that had no clue.
Yeah.
Those are people like my kids who their parents thought they could beat it out of them.
Yeah.
Their parents thought they could ground it out of them. Their parents didn't know any better. They really didn't, because when we were growing up, we never heard that word. Mm-hmm. So I get it. They didn't understand what it was. It was a behavior problem. It was ADHD. It was everything except autism. And it was actually autism. And that's what it was. And that's what I was dealing with these 2 kids that were very high functioning and not necessarily like what you expect autism to be like. So they, instead of being nurtured and, you see a special needs person, you typically understand, and even kids understand, to give grace.
Yeah.
You see a kid that's high functioning, you think they're a dickhead. Mm-hmm. You think they're out of control. You think their parents suck. You think they need a spanking. You're going to give parenting advice to that parent because you have no fucking clue what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. I was that bitch. When I met my sister-in-law, I was like, what the fuck's wrong with this kid? They need a spanker. They need a grounder. Stop doing that for her. Do this, do that. I'm a teenager. I mean, I met her when I was 16 and she was like, I don't know, 6. And her grandma didn't like her. And I understood. Mm-hmm. And then I got older and I realized I'm the dick.
Yeah.
And I was the problem and grandma was the problem. And I might add that my ex-husband's sister is living her best life now, married, a child, everything's wonderful. a career, went to college, got a degree, all the above. But she was high functioning, and that meant 12 years of school of torture. It meant no friends. It meant no hangout buddies, no sleepovers, no birthday parties, no phone calls, no notes pass, none of that. And it meant coming home crying from school. It was everything my kids dealt with. My kids had a little better aspect because I recognized it because of her. She taught me so much. And I just feel like a lot of people's expectations of autism is not realistic because they saw Rain Man.
And they just haven't educated themselves.
And they just haven't educated themselves.
And they haven't put themselves in situations to really learn from it and identify the different characteristics of it, and also how people high mask and low mask, like what it can actually look like and what those things mean. And like, so if a person is doing this and they're stimming, oh, this is why, because they're overstimulated or because there's too much going on. It's too loud. And like, people just don't understand why that happens and how it presents itself, and then what you can do in that situation to make it better and what's actually going to make it worse.
Yeah.
And they aren't exposed to it, or they don't expose themselves to it because maybe it makes them uncomfortable, or they don't know how to deal in that situation. Or
they're finally exposed to it and they don't want to educate themselves.
Yeah.
Rather than listening to other people around them, they're going to form their ideas and decide they're the right ones.
Very true. I've been very blessed because of my career that I've been exposed to it in children and very young children, and being able to see the different symptoms and signs and how kids can mask it and how they can maybe not, because they haven't learned those skills yet, and having to deal with it at a very raw age when even kids aren't diagnosed yet, or are just starting to show symptoms of it, and it coming out in their social and everything like that. I've had to deal with everything from literally being hit 24/7 because you're not giving them what they want, or you're stopping them from doing something, or they're overstimulated, to kids that are more kind of reserved and in their own little world, and kind of take care of themselves, but are still on the spectrum and still needing that help and that support.
Right. And that's really kind of what I wanted to do with this first episode, is really just kind of introduce the fact that it is not necessarily what you think it is.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest misconception is that people think that everybody sounds like Rain Man. And I use that as an example because when I met Rick and I told him I only thought I had one autistic kid at the time. Oh. Only one was diagnosed. And so Zola had my suspicions, but he was doing so much better, and he's younger than Zaylee, and he was doing so much better than Zaylee at the time that I just thought he was mimicking her sometimes. Turned out I was wrong. But, he's he's higher functioning even. And so when I met Rick, I guess that was his perception. And then, we went on vacations together and we spent more time together. And then it took him a few years. I mean, I didn't really expose him to my kids for a long time, and my kids to him. I'm as a parent, that's a dating thing. Yeah. But once they did get exposed and they got to know each other better, he still, I could tell, didn't understand it. He wasn't judging me. He wasn't telling me what to do. He wasn't none of that. But I could tell, you can tell. And then after we'd been dating a few years, like 2 or 3 years, and he had been exposed to more and more of it, he came to me and was like, I did not understand what you were dealing with. Now I get it. Different than I got it. I expected Rain Man, and that was the example he got. And I didn't get Rain Man. I got a girl that just needs you to explain things. She just needs to know what's going on. And I think that's the case with most people. I think most people just don't know that, the media has sold them a different concept of it. And so that's why now you hear so many people that are like, yeah, I was just diagnosed. Yeah, I was just diagnosed. And then other people were like, no, they didn't have that. They did. They were there. You just didn't see them. And they were institutionalized, or they were lobotomized. Yep. Back in the day. The Kennedys had a daughter that was autistic, and they lobotomized her. They made her sing the Star Spangled Banner as they removed parts of her brain until she couldn't sing anymore.
It's horrible.
That's what they used to do to them. That's the reality of the situation. And so the reason I wanted to do the autism awareness, and Zaylee did too. Zaylee was the one that was like, I want to be on the show, blah, blah, blah. And And the reason I wanted to do it was because when I started doing it, I started doing it on social media about 10 years ago. And longer than that, 10, 11 years ago, I started doing autism awareness. And that's because 10, 11 years ago, no one talked about it. No one knew about it. It really became in the last 10 years something more prevalent people talked about. And so whenever I started doing it, I did it because I needed my daughter to be understood. Because I went to my Red Oak where I grew up. I went to a Founders Day parade, and that's like the little parade they do in town that once a year, and it's a big deal, and blah, 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 blah. And I go to the Founders Day parade, and it's the first time I've been in Red Oak in a few years, and definitely the first Founders Day parade since high school. And I take my 4 kids, and Zaylee and Zoel are acting a fool. And they are embarrassing me. They are out of control. I cannot keep up with them. Anything. And a high school classmate of mine is right across the street who happens to also be a good friend of mine, Coy. Mm-hmm. And he's watching the whole thing. Him and I are good friends. He knows my kid's autistic. He knows what I'm going through. And he's texting me. He's like, girl, I want to cross the street and help you. Like, oh my God, you got your hands full. Oh my God, is she okay? Does she need the, like Zaylee's losing her shit, you know? Mm-hmm. And I start realizing these people have no clue what I'm going through. Like they have no idea how hard it was. But you want your kids, your older 2 kids deserve to go to the Founders Day parade. Like I'm a single parent. I can't just not go. I got 2 other kids that deserve normal life. And so I started doing this autism awareness thing on social media. And so about 12 years ago, probably, I was like, hey, it's Autism Awareness Month. I'm going to teach you all about autism this month. And every day of that month, I did a post about autism awareness. And I just talked about something small. And then I asked everybody one day, will you wear blue this week? Everybody wear blue to light it up for Autism Awareness Month. Hundreds of people were posting pictures of themselves in blue. I will never forget that. And so I hadn't done it in a few years. I did it for a few years, and then we kind of got to a stage where Zaylee was really like doing well, and I felt like autism is now understood more than it used to be, and I didn't think it needed me kind of preaching it down everybody's throat and teaching them. But I feel like I have a bigger platform now, and it would be a good idea to push that out again.
Bring it back. We're bringing the blue back.
So we're having a discussion about autism, and I would like to see y'all take a picture in something blue and post it on our social media or tag me at Zeta Duncan. I say Duncan. I say that for a reason. That's a different story. Yeah. That was my married last name. Zeta Owens on Facebook, or Z Mama Seats on Instagram, or 2 Sides in the Truth on Facebook, or 2 Sides in the Truth on Instagram.
Yes.
And I would like you to post a picture of yourself, your children, whoever, in blue.
Yeah. And if you tag us on Instagram, I'll repost it on our page too.
Yes. Yeah. Tag any of it. And I'm going to try and repost it. Depends on how crazy it gets. Because it got pretty crazy.
As much as we can, we're going to try. Put it on the story at least.
And I want you to, when you have a friend that has a kid with autism, I want you to understand that you really don't understand. And I think that's the best way I can explain it, is that you don't understand. And you might think you do, and it's probably all good. Like I have plenty of friends that are real supportive, but they truly still don't understand. And that's okay, as long as they understand they don't understand and they don't think they're a fucking expert on shit they don't understand.
Amen.
And that's what I'm asking for. I'm not asking for these people to become, know everything. I'm not asking people to educate themselves to the point that they are experts. What I'm asking for is for people to understand they don't understand and be open to learn, because everybody on the spectrum is different.
Yeah.
Because a spectrum disorder means it's a huge fucking spectrum.
Yeah.
If it means you might not be able to talk or use the bathroom or be independent at all, it also might mean that you might be, president.
Yep.
Because Bill Gates, autistic. Like there's a bunch of fucking real successful people that are autistic.
Yeah.
They believe Einstein was autistic. Like there's all kinds of people of all types that can be, higher functioning or lower functioning. But what we need to understand is we don't understand it. And if you aren't living it, you truly don't understand it. If you are living it, you only understand your children that have it. Like I realize I could have it much worse. I realize my kids could have it much worse. And I realize that I don't understand what other parents go through still, even though I'm living it with 2 children.
Yeah.
That's really hard for people to understand, that you don't understand. It sounds silly, but it is a fact. And
But
so
once you understand that, you'll understand.
you'll understand you don't understand. But it really, I mean, it pisses me off. And I get mad at myself. 17-year-old Zeta did not know what the fuck she was talking about. And she was totally judgmental of my sister-in-law. Mm-hmm. And then she became like, she taught me to prepare for Zaylee. Like she was my practice, I guess. They're just like, by the way, like literally. And so I just want to make sure that that's what you're going to get this month. You're going to, so I'm going to bring Zaylee in. We're going to have a little talk, and it's about whatever she wants to talk about. I'm not telling her what to talk about. What's coming from her mouth. It's coming from her mouth.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to bring in a few more people to give you a little expert opinion as well. But what I want you to take away from this is understanding that you may be dealing with someone in public. It might be someone parking a car. It might be someone bagging your groceries. It might be the person who is running your loan. It could be anybody that is dealing with this. And so to stop looking at people and judging them and thinking that your understanding of life is not theirs. Mm-hmm. Is that roundabout? Did that make sense?
Yeah, I got it.
I'm the queen of did that make sense?
Be more understanding and understand that you don't understand. And just try to understand better.
That you don't understand.
Yeah.
And don't be an asshole.
Yeah, well, above all that, don't be an asshole.
Yeah. But that's what it boils down to. And I'm going to end it on this, but years ago, before I had my second set of kids, when I had my first set of kids, all the same dad, but whatever. I had my first set and my second set. So the first set, these kids were so fucking easy, man. I thought I was the best mom ever. And I thought I had the best kids ever. And I did. They were really easy. And life was easy. I could look at Zoe and she was like, yes, ma'am. And that was it. And I didn't spank her one time ever and didn't need to. And then I had my second. And so my cousin says to me, he has no children. He has a stepkid, but no biological kid. And the stepkid was almost grown when he got her. And he didn't want kids. And that was fine. And he said to me, we went on a cruise together. And he said, I love your kids, man. You have the best kids. You're such a good mom. Like every time those kids are around, they're so well behaved. They're so awesome. Like just, talking me up. Mm-hmm. And then I had Zaylee a year later. And I can remember thinking about 3 or 4 years later, oh my God, it wasn't me. I wasn't the best mom. They were really good kids, but they're no better kids than these kids. They just don't have the same biological issues that this kid has. And she wasn't even diagnosed, but I knew there was a difference. And I knew it didn't matter what I did. Yeah. And I think that taught me more than anything else that this journey has taught me is having 2 kids that were simple and easy and had no neurological disorders and none of those issues that my younger kids have, that it wasn't about me. It wasn't about my parenting. I look like a fucking rock star with those 2 kids. And these 2 kids, I am 4 times a better parent. And it does not show. Because it's just different. Yep. It's just different. So that's what I'm asking people to do is understand it's just different. And when you go into public, you don't know who you're dealing with. And don't be an asshole.
Don't be an asshole.
Yeah.
Amen.
Or a bitch. That's all I got.
Good job.
So we're talking autism awareness this month. That's all I got for that.
Yes.
Anything else you want to throw in there?
No, we're good.
All right. Well, that's all for today. Thank you for joining us. Maybe come back next week and bring a friend.
Yeah. And remember, there's always 3 sides to every story.
2 sides and the truth.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.